Look at all this realistic test data. Hundreds of unique names, valid emails, and job titles. Did I spend hours typing this manually? Absolutely not. And neither should you. Welcome back to Sarrawy Dev. Today, I'm going to show you how to generate thousands of realistic fake data records in seconds using a powerful, free .NET library called Bogus. Forget about testing with Test 1 or John Doe. In this video, we'll first see how easily Bogus works in a simple console app, and then we will level up to seed a real SQL database using Entity Framework Core. Let's jump into Visual Studio and get started. First, let's create a new C# console application. I'll name it Bogus Demo, but you can name it whatever you like. For the framework, I'll be using .NET 10, which is the latest long-term support version. Now, let's hit Create. Before we generate any data, we need a simple model to represent our entity. I'll create an employee class with basic properties like ID, full name, job title, email, and salary. This will be the blueprint for our fake records. Now the most important part, let's install the Bogus library. Open your NuGet Package Manager or just type .NET add package Bogus in your terminal. This library is completely free open source, and it's what we'll use to generate all our realistic data. Now, let's create our faker instance for the employee class. We define the rules using the ruleFor method. For the full name, we use f.name.fullname. For the job title, Bogus has a built-in generator for that too. And notice how we can even make the email depend on the generated name. Finally, we'll set a realistic salary range between 3,000 and 8,000 using the Finance module. And now for the final step of our first example, let's generate the data. With just one line employee faker, generate 10, we've created a list of 10 unique, realistic employees. You can change this number to 100 or even 1,000, and Bogus will handle it instantly. Let's print them to the console and see the results. And there you go. Look at this output. We have perfectly formatted names, professional job titles, matching emails, and realistic salaries. All of this was generated in milliseconds. This is much better than testing with empty strings or manual data, don't you think? Now that we see it working in the console, let's take it to the next level. Let's see how we can save this data into a real database using Entity Framework Core. Now, let's comment out our first example to keep things clean. We're moving to the professional level, where we'll see how to integrate Bogus with Entity Framework Core and save all this data to a real database. To connect our application to the database, we need a DB context. I'll add a new class and name it MyDBContext. This class will act as the bridge between our employee model and the SQL Server tables. As you can see, Visual Studio is giving me an error because I haven't installed the Entity Framework Core package yet. I'll just use the quick actions to find and install the latest version. Inside our context, we'll define a DB set of type employee. This tells Entity Framework that we want to create a table named employees in our database. Now, our model is officially linked to our data context. Next, we need to configure our connection string. I'll override the onConfiguring method and tell Entity Framework to use SQL Server. I'm using local DB for this demo and naming our database Bogus. One quick tip: to make the Use SQL Server method work, you must install the Microsoft Entity Framework Core to SQL Server package. Without it, Entity Framework won't know how to talk to your SQL Server database. To keep our project organized, I'll create a dedicated class called DataSeeder. This class will contain the logic for generating and saving our fake data. It's a much cleaner approach than dumping everything into the main file. I'll create a static method called seedEmployees. It takes our MyDB context as a parameter, so we can use it to push the generated data directly into the database. First, we'll use context database to ensure created. This ensures that our database and the employees table are created automatically if they don't already exist. No migrations needed for this demo. We'll add a quick check using any. If the table already has data, we'll simply return to avoid creating duplicate records every time we run the app. To save time, I'll just copy and paste the same bogus rules we created earlier. Since we're using the same employee model, the logic remains exactly the same. We just moved it here for better organization. I'll also copy the generate method, but this time, let's change the number to 500. This demonstrates how easily we can seed our database with hundreds of realistic records in just 1 second. Finally, we'll use add range to add our 500 employees to the context and call save changes. This will execute the database inserts in one go. I'll also add a console to write line to confirm that everything was added successfully. Now, inside our program CS, we'll create an instance of our MyDB context using a using block to manage the database connection properly. Next, we simply call our static method seedEmployees. This single line will trigger the whole process, creating the database, checking for data, and generating our 500 fake records. To verify that everything worked, let's fetch the first 5 employees from the database and print them to the console. This proves our data is now persisted and ready to use. Let's run the app and see the magic happen. There they are. Successfully saved in SQL Server. Our database is no longer empty. Now for the final proof, let's open SQL Server Management Studio. As you can see, all 500 records are here, perfectly structured and saved. No more manual data entry ever again. And that's it. You've just learned how to seed your database like a pro using Bogus and EF Core. This will save you hours of testing time. And that's it. You've just learned how to seed your database like a pro using Bogus and EF Core. This will save you hours of testing time. If you enjoyed this tutorial, hit the like button, subscribe to Sarrawy Dev, and let me know in the comments what .NET topic you want to see next. Happy coding!